Chaplains, campus chaplains are relevant frontline ministers in the young adult world. Their presence day in and day out is a constant reminder of the holy. Next, we'll talk with one of those chaplains on the front line in campus ministry. You're watching Ministry in Motion, where we share best practices for your ministry in the 21st century. Minister, elder, professional singer,
Yes.
now chaplain, Duawne
Yes.
Starling. Welcome to Ministry in Motion.
Thank you for having me.
It's a privilege to have you here. And you know, you and I have had conversations intermittently
Right?
prior to this. And now I see this as a great culmination because I'm going to learn some things today.
Well, I hope I learned some things today.
So you are now a chaplain. You've done a lot of things in your life. You've been educated as a minister.
Yes.
You served as a church elder.
Yes.
Head elder, in fact.
Associate.
Associate, all right. And you've sang with professionals in ministry and music. And you also are a minister in music
I am.
professionally. We may have to witness that before we close the broadcast. But Duawne, it's Ivan, and let's just talk about this. You are now thrust into a campus life
Yes.
as a minister called chaplain.
Yes.
Oh my, and you're fresh. You haven't
Fresh.
been there long.
No.
How
just
long have you been at Washington Adventist University?
2 months.
Oh my.
It was 2 months to the day yesterday.
Yes, 2 months.
2 months.
As a campus chaplain, first of all, how did that happen? Why did you say yes? Help me connect the dots with where you are now in 2 months.
Well, I love to tell this story because it is an assignment. It is not a job.
Got it.
Nothing I've ever done in my professional and ministry career has been a job. It's always been an assignment. So
I love
this started, God put this in my spirit January of 2018. I was at Loma Linda University. I was out there for their week of spiritual emphasis, and I was leading worship. So I was leading worship every day, and then I did a concert that Friday evening. So while I was there, I've always been interested in ministry. I've always been interested in psychology, and I've always been interested in ministry. And I was talking with the chaplain there, and I said, I'm starting to feel like the marriage between psychology and ministry is chaplaincy. And I said, would you say that? And she said, yeah, I would say that. And I thought, well, if I were to ever be a chaplain, I wouldn't want to do the hospital. I would want to do a university. And just the way I think, I'm thinking, well,
amazing.
I don't want to move because I love living in this area. I said, I don't want to move, but I feel like if I were to do a chaplaincy, it would have to be in the area where I live.
And
So-
where you live, our viewers need to know is where? Where do you
I
live?
live in Laurel, Maryland, but in the DMV.
Right.
And so as I was, processing that whole thing, and I remember one night I was just up, I was restless, and God was speaking to me, planting this seed in me while I was in California. And so fast forward to March of this year, I was considering going back to school to get my master's in psychology. I'm a former student of WAU when it was Columbia Union College. So I said, well, you know what? Rather than ask for my transcript and have them send it to me, it's only 20 minutes away. So let me just drive down there. And I drove down March of this year. I walked into the administration building and I see the Office of Campus Ministries. First thing that I thought was, that wasn't there when I was a student.
Wow.
And I felt arrested. My spirit was arrested. I go upstairs, I get my transcripts, I come back downstairs, intending to walk out of the building, and I turned around, I walked straight into Campus Ministries, and I said, is there a chaplaincy position available here?
Wow.
Or
you weren't planning to do this.
I wasn't planning to do that.
Okay.
or a position in campus ministries. And I was told they had just hired an interim chaplain 7 days prior. So there was no position available.
Wow.
And I applied anyway. And then I got a call in August that they wanted to have an interview. So between March and August, nothing, not a word. And now I'm chaplain at Washington Adventist University.
Wow. Wow. As the old people used to say, won't he do it?
Won't he do it? Won't he do it? And he did it.
Wow. You are now thrust into the millennial, Gen X, Gen Y
Right.
world right now.
And I love the word you use, thrust, because that's exactly what it is.
Thrown
Thrust.
in.
Thrown in, thrown in.
Well, tell me, I tell you, being on a campus, you know, young people keep older people, or non-young people, I'll put it that way, kind of on the cutting edge of trends, what's going on. What have you noticed about being on campus initially? What in these 2 months would you say has risen to the top of here is some area of need that I see students having? Is anything glaring yet? I know it's still new,
Right.
but tell me about that.
There are some things glaring. The need for transparency
Okay.
for those that lead, the need for authenticity.
Stop right there for a moment. Both of those words, I love it. Why is that important as leaders leading young people, young adults?
Because they don't play. They really don't. They want right to be right, wrong to be wrong. There's no little middle ground. They want you to be who you are.
Authentic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know that they will follow if you lead them with transparency, with authenticity, with passion, you know, and that's what I try to do. The people that come into my office and they want to talk, we talk.
Right.
And we keep it very real, and I talk to them as if they were a friend of mine. And I give them advice based on my experience and the God that I know and love.
Sure.
You know? So I find that to be two very important things that they look for.
Wow. And I cut you off. I don't know if there's any more
No.
that you found. You know, those are very, very relevant things today, transparency. And it means that they're looking for a real person.
Right.
No political grayness.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're all looking for. You know, that's what I look for.
Got it.
And that's always been something I've tried to be. Not to be something that you want to see, but really be who I'm called to be.
Got it.
And it took me a while, you know, barring young adult life, it took me a while to get comfortable with my own skin and to say, you know what, I can fight in my own armor. I don't need Saul's armor.
Right.
And I'll just be who I am. That's enough. And I'll use that to do ministry.
Wow, that's huge. Duawne, you mentioned that you graduated from this university.
Well, I attended.
You attended,
I attended,
okay.
Yeah, I was there for a year.
Okay, but now you're the chaplain back on campus. What realities have you noticed that may have been different than when you were a student?
Oh, my goodness.
What are the realities today? And I know you have children at home. You don't have any college students yet.
No.
though. Yeah,
No.
they're in school. But what would you say to that?
I'm trying to see how I want to answer this. I'll just be authentic and transparent.
All right.
What I miss that I experienced was a hunger for God. I met God on that campus.
Wow.
And I encountered God several times on that campus. And I don't know that I just want that to be the experience of the students currently.
Awesome.
And I don't know how to make him real enough other than just to live it. And so that's a desire of mine. It's a burden of mine, actually,
Yeah.
to see that he become real to everyone. That it is not a textbook understanding or experience, but that you have the Damascus Road encounter.
Right.
You know, where you see him, where he becomes real to you. That's my desire, and I think that's an area where that is needed. You know, we need to focus more on that.
Thank you for being transparent about that. You know, to our listeners and viewers, I would say to them that Washington Adventist University may be unique with all of the other Adventist universities in that it is very urban.
Right.
It is not kind of out in a country-like area.
Right.
It's in Tacoma Park, and it's situated right in the DC area. So, and would you say more students live off campus than on campus?
Yes, more off campus, definitely.
So does that particular ratio create additional challenges for the chaplain, would you say?
I would say yes, because they're still students, and
Yeah.
if they're only on campus for classes,
Right.
how do we reach them, and how do we minister to them? If we can't reach them, we can't really minister to them.
Right.
So everyone's required to come to convocation on Wednesdays at 11:15
Every week?
every week.
Okay.
But you know, there are some exceptions to that, because some students, the nursing students, they may have things that they have to do.
Got it.
But so there's a whole population of students that I may never see
Wow.
unless I go to where they are.
Yeah.
Going to the nursing department, doing that is going to be essential, because otherwise I may never see them, they may never see me. We may never encounter what we're supposed to. So there are some other challenges, definitely.
Can I thank you on air about not staying in your office, but getting out where the students
Oh
are?
my goodness.
That's
That's where my heart
huge.
is. Thank you.
That's huge, man. That's a blessing. Tell me about the leadership you see among students. Do you see great leaders to come, future leaders, current leaders?
I do.
Yeah. What are you doing? And I know you're just getting started. I'm putting pressure on you. What are you emphasizing with leadership? Do you involve them in anything that you lead out in?
Specifically, I'll say yes first.
Okay.
Specifically with Vespers on Friday nights.
Okay.
One of the things that I've been saying since I've been there is, when I was a student at WAU, I was also a student at Oakwood University. The thing that made our young adult ministry so successful is that we were doing it. It was not being done for us. We were doing it. We saw what we needed, and we met our own needs. When I was a student at WAU, when it was Columbia Union College, we had Singspiration. Singspiration was a success because we did it.
The students
The
led out.
students led it. And at Oakwood, AYS was a success because we did it.
Right.
The chaplain was present, but the
Right.
chaplain was not running it. The students were running it. And
Interesting.
another example is Dynamic Praise, this choir that has been in existence for 30 years. And for 30 years, it's been a student-run organization.
Amazing.
Everything you've ever heard of Dynamic Praise, students did it.
Yeah.
And it was a success, and it still is, because students run it.
My children are in the choir, so I
Yeah,
can testify.
yeah. So I've been trying to push them. I wouldn't even say push them, support them, and they want to.
Okay.
I had a meeting with the student leaders within the first week of school, asking them what they wanted. And they said, and I quote, "We don't want to be spoon-fed. We want to lead." How are we going to lead when we leave here if we don't get an opportunity to lead while we're here?
That's a great
And so I'm like, let's go. That's exactly what I want you to do. And I'll be here in the corners, rooting you on,
Right.
you know, supporting whatever you need, but I want you to take charge.
Yeah. Have you had to deal with any crises yet in a young adult's life?
I have.
I don't. I know you have. I know it was coming if you hadn't, but what do you see the chaplain's role being, helping students in crisis? You got school on one hand, you may have this personal issue, you may have a family issue, but school in crises is tough.
It is. It is.
So tell me about that.
Some of the issues I've noticed already is depression,
Yeah.
anxiety. Those two stand out the most.
Okay.
We've already had a Vesper focusing on depression. It was a group study. And on November the 8th, we'll have Dr. Colin Brown. He's a local therapist. He's coming to do more of a practical and give steps and skills to help cope with that.
Wow.
And we'll do the same thing about the anxiety topic. But depression first. I've had students come into my office and I know immediately that's what they're dealing with.
Right.
I think that some of the things that I grew up with, where we just had to make it work. I've kind of been on my own since I was 13, and I say that because I went to academy at 13.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I haven't lived at home since I was 13.
Wow.
By the time I was 18, I had an apartment, I had a job, I'm paying all of my own bills.
Right.
And so college I paid for, but I think with this generation, a lot of things are done for them.
Sure.
And maybe they haven't been given enough opportunities to figure it out. And so now that they're in college and they're faced with having to balance school, balance maybe dating, balance
Right.
maybe working, and just the pressures of being a teenager or a young 20-something, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And so the anxiety is very real.
Right.
And that's what I see when students come to talk to me.
And I think the first default of parents is to relieve that anxiety or to address that depression. Have you had to deal with parents yet?
No,
Okay.
not yet, not yet.
Awesome, man. Awesome. What would you say to those who are working with young adults? Maybe other fellow chaplains or pastors who have young adults in the church. We're going to deal with some young adults with you here shortly.
Yes.
But what would you say? As you said, when you were a student, you really sought after God, and you want that same experience for each student today. But what would you share with people working with young adults in a ministry setting? Any thoughts, any words of wisdom?
They would be simple, and I think sometimes we make things way too complex.
Okay.
I would say listen and hear.
Listen and hear.
Listen to what they're saying and hearing what they're saying, because they're two different things.
Yeah.
And meet the need. And sometimes meeting the need is going to make you uncomfortable. And be okay with that.
Okay.
I realize now that I'm parenting young adults. That's what I'm doing.
As chaplain?
As chaplain, I'm parenting young adults.
Okay.
Because at every stage of life, we need parents.
Yeah.
And their parents are not around them. And so we become the parents for them.
Got it.
And I don't mind that. That's not what I thought I'd be doing, but that's what I'm doing. And my own children have prepared me to parent these young adults.
Got it.
Because I have, like, my oldest is 14. And so she's now in high school, and the dynamics are different in high school. And
Sure.
so our conversations have changed. And the conversations are not that much different than the ones that I have with the young adults at WAU.
Interesting. As chaplain also, you accepted this job because you saw God using you in some way in this area. Tell me, what passions do you have as you serve these young adults?
I want them to know God.
Right.
I want them to have a relationship that is solid, where even if he says no, you're fine with his no. I want them to grow, and I want them to make disciples. I want them to reproduce themselves,
Yes.
be so full of him that it's too much for you to contain inside of you. And you have to find other people to duplicate what you're doing. I want to see them thrive. I really do. I want to see them whole.
Right.
I want to see them succeed in whatever career path, and to approach that career as ministry. Not just, we're all ministers.
Right.
I think we all
Right.
have people that are assigned to us to minister to. And no matter what the career choice, no matter what that path is, find the ministry in it and run with that.
Man, thank you. You minister out of many gifts. Sometimes God blesses people with many gifts. And I'm happy to know you. One of your gifts is music.
Yes.
And singing and worship leading. Would you close the broadcast with a song or two, or a sentence, a sentence or two of a song, a chorus or a line? What is God putting on your heart?
I wrote this song, I don't remember how many years ago. I recorded it a few years ago, and I wrote it on my knees in my prayer time. 5 a.m. I get up every morning to pray, and I didn't feel as close to God as I wanted to be.
Got it.
And I just kept saying, I want to be closer. God, I want more. I want to be closer. And I didn't realize that I was writing a song at that moment, but I just started singing, and I literally felt like I was taking dictation, like he was downloading something in me. It's called I Desire. And it says, it's morning.
Okay.
I have it warmed up. Close to you, close to you, I desire to be close to you, close to you, close to you. I desire to be close to you.
Man, praise the Lord. Chaplain Duawne Starling, I thank God for your current assignment.
Yes. So do
And I appreciate you being on Ministry in Motion. We're excited about what you're going to do with the young people and how God is going to bless you in leadership.
Amen.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
God bless you. Chaplain Duawne Starling left us very important points in working with college students and young adults. He said young adults appreciate transparent and authentic leadership. Number 2, he said, be yourself, not what other people want you to be. Be who you are called to be. Number 3, if you plan to be a chaplain, he says, you need to go where the students are. Don't just stay inside your office. Number 4, young adults desire to experience leadership. Give them a piece of the pie. Number 5, he found that depression and anxiety is very real among young people. Then number 6, he said, listen and hear to meet the needs of young adults. You've been watching Ministry in Motion, where we share best practices for your ministry in the 21st century. Join us via podcast, YouTube, and Facebook by starting at www.ministryinmotion.tv. Until next time, may the Lord richly bless you.